Welcome everyone, bienvenido. Please remember to mute yourself whenever you're not speaking. All slides and links referenced in this webinar will be sent out as we normally do in the December edition of the Light Center PD2Go newsletter. This recording, along with the presentation, will be also available on Spoke under the resources section. So welcome to the Light Center December webinar, Inclusivity in an Online Class Through Teamwork and Role Play. This webinar serves as a part of the Light Center efforts to disseminate the great work our faculty members are doing while representing Westcliff University at different academic events. Today's facilitator, Dr. Tatiana Adrienko, is an associate professor at the College of Business. Dr. Adrienko holds a Doctor of Science degree. She's a scholar, she's an academic leader, an international conference keynote speaker, a presenter, and a moderator. She's also the author of 8 books and several dozen research and academic publications. I'm really proud to work with her. Partially sponsored by the Light Center Professional Development Funding, during her attendance to the 87th Annual International Conference of the Association for Business Communication, Dr. Adrienko Genin represented Westcliff University while chairing online sessions, as well as sharing information about our institution, mission, values, and unique philosophy. This webinar is actually one of the sessions she facilitated and wanted to share with you our faculty members. A learning environment that fosters inclusivity and develops aspiring leaders is problematic in an online class due to the lack of social contact, as well as the informal interactions that take place in that setting. This 30-minute session will explore how using team assignments, especially role plays, gives students an opportunity to see others' perspectives and step into somebody's shoes, enhancing social content, uniting the team, and developing the inclusive mindset through valuing diversity. So thank you, Professor Adrienko, for sharing the research with us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. I am very humbled by such a wonderful introduction, but thank you for presenting all the ideas so clearly and in such a wonderfully organized manner. I think without wasting our precious time, I will start the screen share. And yes, Professor is right. This is a follow-up of the presentation to the Association for Business Communication, and a worldwide organization to which I was honored to present the values of our university, its unique diversity, over 100 countries at present, and to promote its philosophy so that we are better known in the world, and we gained high acclaim. That was really a tremendous event, and thank you very much, Light Center, for letting me participate, for giving me this wonderful opportunity. And here I am to share some of the ideas with my colleagues. I will try to go fast on my presentation because I want to reserve some time for questions, and especially for sharing some resources that I believe may be helpful. So let's get started. My presentation is about inclusivity in an online class through teamwork and role play. Why inclusivity? Why I thought of that as something important? In my observation, which was supported by literature research, diversity, when everybody comes from a different background, is an asset only when it is supported by deliberate inclusive leadership effort. Other than that, diversity may work as an adverse factor because people with different beliefs, different mindsets may have varying perceptions of the same fact, varying ideas about achieving the goal, even varying communication styles. And if not working on having them open and happy to work together, we may result the team which would be torn apart by differences. So A positive attitude and inclusive atmosphere created by deliberate leadership effort is a prerequisite of successfully benefiting from diversity in an audience as different as ours. And how different can our audiences be? Here are some official statistics from National Center of Education on only two categories, racial and later will be age diversity. Here we see how racial diversity, how racial demographics changed from 1976 to 2018. And the classrooms were and continue to be dominated by racially white people, but we see that the representation of other categories grew over years. Yet in 100 student classroom, we are likely to find 55 white students and only one American Alaskan or Alaskan native student. Will that student feel an equal participant the same as others? That's what may bring about exclusion, as well as other underrepresented categories. Now, ages. Most of people go to college between 18 and 21. Here is the percentage of people who go to college. Yet some go even before 15. And there are people who go to college when they are 45, 55, and more. This means that in the class of 18 through 21, there may be a person who is good to be their father or mother. Will that person feel fully included? And so on. And of course, diversity is more about mindsets and worldviews rather than just physical features like, gender, age, race, and so on. So what diversity means in a business communication course, because that was for business communication organization, so I focused on that. First of all, it means varying worldviews and mindsets. As a result, the same phenomenon may be perceived differently by different people. Differences in communication styles, due to which people may communicate the same idea or the same intentions, not in the same way. Values systems and hierarchies of values also differ, and the students will differently prioritize their purposes. Perceptions and interpretation frames, that is how we subjectively interpret the same event because we are different. And of course, emotional reactions, something positively perceived by one category of students may be viewed as a negative factor by some others. And to add to it all, some of our students are also students from other countries, and English is their second language, and insufficient mastery of English, of the language of instruction, will add to misunderstanding, and sometimes they will feel shy to say, I don't understand it, I don't know this word, could you please explain? They will do with their lack of understanding, and that results in isolation and exclusion, which is very unfortunate. So I decided to look into the ways we can develop inclusivity, especially in online class, because that's what creates additional problems. And the goals were to explore how two techniques that I really favor and use a lot in my classes help students, in particular, team learning and role plays. Before doing so, I explored the problems that we face as a result of students being very different, diversity, plus online setting, which separates us, does not allow simple human communications. So what can result from as communication problems in a diverse online class? First of all, lack of understanding of content, which is the worst for the learning results, because this is why the students are here. Due to differences in background knowledge in prior educational settings, the students may differently interpret the same course concepts that we are delivering them, or analyze them from different perspectives. And sometimes they will just lack the ability to apply or analyze. And again, sometimes they will be shy to communicate the lack of understanding. When they team up with other students and work it over, they feel free to show their misunderstanding. And usually it helps better understanding. When an American student, for example, explains something to a foreign student in their own students' terms, in their students' language. Then most of people experience anxiety in new environments in general, but online adds to it by psychological uneasiness, problems with technology. I cannot log in, I cannot use this or that function, plus Zoom fatigue when the students work for a long time. Uh, most of us experience the fear of speaking before audiences, and so do our students, of course. But that may be aggravated because they see how different other students are. They cannot predict their reactions, and that makes them close and keep from participating. Especially students from high power distance cultures will not speak unless explicitly authorized to do so. You need to ask the opinion of this specific student, then they will speak up. Otherwise, they keep silent. Another problem, and avoidance of disagreement, which is pretty strong in some cultures, may also bar students from fully participating. Or they may expect, especially if they grew in an authoritative culture, that there is one correct answer. If their peer has answered and the professor says, wonderful, what a great idea, they believe that this is the right answer. The right answer has already been given, no room for further discussion. Something that we should gradually change their perspective on. And in my opinion, to unveil the potential benefits of diverse teams, we need to make deliberate and focused efforts to create inclusive atmosphere. And I found the support of this idea in the papers of very reputable scholars. So what is inclusion? It is a complex construct which unites two aspects: belongingness, feeling the part of a bigger team, university culture, maybe country culture, and uniqueness, feeling that your unique identity is being respected and duly honored in the situation where you are. And I tell between inclusion as an effort at making the environment inclusive and inclusivity as a permanent quality of the classroom or workplace environment being inclusive all the time, making all members respected and welcomed in an organization or community. If there are questions, I thought someone was going to ask a question. You may just take this time and briefly ask it, or write it in chat and I will answer later, okay? Whichever you prefer. Okay, let us move on. So I created this inclusive teaching model based on my vision of how it may work. So class diversity may work as a potentially excluding factor. It doesn't always work, but we should always remember that this possibility exists, and online environment adds to it, because we don't see our students in full how they are treating each other in terms of nonverbal language, for example, and we have lesser access to communicating with them. And of course, in this sense, online environment is a limitation. But if we deliberately cultivate value in diversity mindset through explaining the value of being different, and of course, through doing such exercises which let the students feel that being different is wonderful, in particular teamwork and role play, we have a chance to cultivate inclusivity in an online class, which will be built on valuing and celebrating each person's uniqueness and creating the sense of belongingness altogether. And of course, I want our classrooms to be inclusive, and I think that in such a diverse university, it's the only way we can really successfully work, making an inclusive environment in which our students will thrive, feeling unique and feeling belonging to the university, their class, their team, because they cooperate so successfully together. So very briefly, what are team assignments? We have some team assignments in some courses, but not in all. For example, when I start managerial communication course, I have a team writing assignment. But surprisingly, it was to be accomplished individually before we worked on the syllabus. And I asked the students a brief survey. How do you usually accomplish writing tasks in the workplace, individually or in a team? The answer is most commonly in a team. Now, how do you accomplish your academic tasks, individually or in a team? And the answer is, I think you know it, individually. This means that our university assignments are not actually preparing the students to what they are going to be doing when they start their workplace, their work in their workplace. So some examples
Thank you
that
for the donut, whatever it is. What was it? The donut?
pardon? Is that a question? Please, if you're not asking a question, can I ask you to mute? But if it is a question, just phrase it so that I can understand an answer. I think it was not a question, right? I will go ahead. But if you have questions, yeah, I'm open to answer just questions, yeah, not just phrases. So we had some great examples of team assignments, creating a team charter, which is done outside the class hours, so the students can work as long as they wish and they are themselves. They are just colleagues or friends. Collective writing assignments, team debate, which I enjoyed very much, where students prepare outside the classroom and participate in classroom. Case studies accomplished by a team, sometimes followed up with individual writing, but they work together on a case. What does it give to students? Why is it so important? It helps building relationships. It makes students participate in shared decision making and recognize each other's efforts and contributions. Here, what I summarized from the experiences we had with students. Students are included in a joint purposeful activity, not just friends, but they jointly work on a project, which is very important. They are given the platform for equal participation. That's in a team charter, because they will be given the same grade to all of them. So their interest is to participate equally, and this makes them first present themselves properly, use their persuasion and negotiation skills to make sure they are doing the task they may accomplish best of all, and make sure others are contributing as well. And we do not need to explain or teach them, because it's in their interest. They will practice their communication skills without us asking them to practice those skills. Now, of course, students have a chance to help one another and become team players. And that creates the sense of belonging so important for us. And for language classes in particular, sometimes students are shy of speaking in front of the professor because they are afraid there will be correction of their mistakes. Here, there is nobody to judge them for accuracy. They will be just using the language. They can use it as communication tool to accomplish their goal. And that's actually why they need to learn the language. So it helps in different ways. Now, a little more about my favorite assignment, the role plays. We need only two things to set up a role play: roles and scenario. And they are, by their nature, they are team plays. So they will always accomplish the same tasks as the team plays. What can be the roles? First of all, as our students are trained to become different professionals, there may be professional roles that they are preparing themselves for. And here are examples: engineer, nurse, sales manager. There will be social or situational roles as well. depending on the communicative functions we want our students to practice, or the skills we want our students to develop, like persuasion skills, negotiation skills, maybe just the skills of polite communication, or whatever they may be in each specific course. But for most courses, professional roles will work perfectly. And what's interesting, when I made the search how role plays are used, they're extensively used in workplace trainings, but for some reason not in universities. Now, scenarios. Scenario is the course of action prescribed to the students by the role. And it may be close-ended when we prescribe the entire course of action, how the relations start, how they develop, and what it should result in. Or it may be an open-ended scenario, just setting the problem and leaving the solution to the players, which is great. I will demonstrate you some examples just in a few minutes. But now the results that I observe as a result of using role plays. First of all, students may be included in future professional interactions, and they can demonstrate their real talents, which they cannot otherwise demonstrate in the classroom. That enhances creativity and helps the students feel their uniqueness appreciated in the classroom. Now, they have a chance, as Eve has very aptly said, to work in somebody else's shoes and see the situation from a different perspective. For example, in one of my role plays, a male student chose to be the mother of another student, not the father, because he said a mother sees the situation differently. A mother is emotional. They can argue against a father who is logical, using logical persuasion, but let them speak to a mother who is so emotional, she hears no sound logic. Just seeing the situation as another person, not yourself, sometimes very different from yourself, would do it. Or, for example, salespeople swapped in the roles with clients and acting as clients towards other students. Now, role plays promote shared decision making because the students have to develop the idea how to perform on this or that. And of course, they help recognize the efforts of contributors, creating the sense of belongingness, because only together they can achieve a great result. And plays relax students emotionally because they are playing. That reduces the fear of speaking, anxiety, and makes them kids again, so to say. Thus contributing to building better relationships. Mostly students remember role plays they played in class as something very memorable that happened to them in that class. And when I was presenting to ABC, I had such a situation. I gave role cards to my audience, and they had to bring two people from different corners of the room because they did not have a partner. One was an aged white-haired professor, and another was a young black graduate student girl. After the role play, when the presentation was over, they continued sitting and talking and talking. They could not separate. They were so interested in one another. I came up to them and I said, you demonstrated how role plays included you, although you did not know each other before this. They said, what? They didn't even understand what I'm thanking for. But really, they were a great demonstration how the role play united people who were entirely different and did not know each other before it. So as a result, just let's summarize what team assignments and role plays give to our students. First of all, they help better understand and apply course concepts. This is why they're at the university, because they discuss things together and understand it better through their students' interpretation. They also help develop valuable communication skills, soft skills in the workplace, self-presentation, persuasion, negotiation. They engage the students and create the feeling of belongingness, reduce anxiety, Zoom fatigue that exists in online settings due to continued listening, and of course increase motivation and enhance the feeling of uniqueness because they foster creativity. This is the great phrase I want to complete this presentation with by Jesse Jackson: when everyone is included, everyone wins. So Thank you so much. Let's play. Let's include our students. Let's all feel included together and let's succeed together. Here are the references, and here I included some exhibits. Really used my role assignments used in the real classrooms. This was the course Speech, Debate and Ethics, the role plays Vacation Planning, when two teams, here are the creative names, Debate Nation and Word of Mouth. The two teams were debating which kind of having a vacation is better, and for that reason they had to build arguments and use persuasion techniques. We were working at these communication skills. And here is another also persuasion role play: go into college where parents and kids debate whether kids should go to college immediately or after some work time, and that also engages students because it's the problem that everybody had in their life. And I believe even in addition to educational and communication outcomes, probably they will take something into the future when they are parents, and they will remember how kids see this perspective. Thank you very much. Here I'm coming to the end of my presentation, but I have prepared some role cards to demonstrate to you later. A very important piece of information from Light Center to you about the next upcoming webinar, Teaching Empathy and Resilience in the higher ed classroom.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Yes,
You're very
absolutely.
welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adienko, for such an informative and full of ideas presentation. Thank you for sharing your research with us. So I don't want to leave this webinar without inviting you to our very last webinar of the year. So it will take place on December 22nd at 8 a.m. So we will only have one session, and it will be facilitated by Dr. Maris Hall. She is an invited speaker from Costa Rica, and she will be talking about the concept of empathy and how we can assist students to understand another's emotion in relation to their own, and how it is important to help learners be empathetic through developing strong and supportive relationships. So the invite has been sent to you, but I will send a reminder soon. I also added the link to our survey on the chat. Please complete it. And again, thank you all for coming. This was a beautiful, and I'm really excited that I want to try certain things from this webinar. Thank you, Dr. Adienko. And if you need anything from the Light Center, we're here to help.
Okay, I did have a quick question. I'm sorry.
Sure.
I recall reading the handbook because I'm new to Westcliff, and it's stating that we have to stick to the syllabus. Now, would creating role playing be going against the syllabus?
Probably I could share the handouts, and I will discuss how that was included in my syllabus. I hope it may be included in yours too, okay? Thank you so very much. I will stop screen share and make another screen share, and I will explain.
While you share, I would like to mention something. You have the syllabus, and in the syllabus, you have the content that you need to cover. But the strategies, instructional strategies that you use in your class to cover that content, to further critical thinking in your students, you can use teamwork, and you can use breakout rooms, and you can use everything that the role play and everything the professor Adienko is sharing with us. It's totally possible. It's not being out of the syllabus. It's using what you have in the syllabus in an interactive, inclusive way.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Yeah, just very briefly, here's the role play that we used in managerial communication course as store manager and a store customer. Actually, this one is that I created. The store manager sees that the item is not refundable, but the customer is insisting that it should be refunded. And the store manager has the assignment to keep to the company's policies, yet leave the client satisfied. So like the strategies. And the second in the same course is inspired by one of the syllabus assignments. We had to write a negative adjustment letter to the client who is returning the fertilizer, which the client actually inappropriately used, so it needs to be a negative adjustment letter. And here we play the role play with that client. The person has come to complain that the plants died, the fertilizer is not good, and the stock sales consultant has to find the way out to explain the situation or whatever they can do, again, to comply with the company's policies, yet leave the client satisfied. And here are those that I showed on my cards. Here are the two plays of fundamentals of business course, starting a new business. After we have discussed the types the businesses are started, the forms of business ownership, the steps to start a new business, I give the students a role play. You and your friend have decided to start a new business. Here they are setting up a cafe together. In the second role play, they are computer geniuses and they have decided to make their hobby their business, and they need to use the course concepts. What form of business ownership will it be? What resources, people, capital they need for that? And they should apply the course concepts to doing that specific life situation that is prescribed by their role play. I think just being creative, we can come up with lots of scenarios that will make students apply our course concepts to real life situations. I believe that answers the question. I'm very thankful. I am prepared to share the resources if necessary. Thank you so much.
Yes, please. Dr. Jen, I would like to have the references if possible. Thank you very much for this presentation.
You're very welcome. What will be the best way to share with the colleagues? Would you, what would you suggest?
Send them to me, and I have the list of attendees, so that I will send all the information that you sent to me to them.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
I will send the entire presentation then, and the references there. They are all working here. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you very,
have
very
a
much.
wonderful day.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays,
Thank you very,
everybody.
very much. Happy holidays
you.
to everyone.
Happy
Have a great
holidays.
time. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank